Peace, love, and blessings, fam. Johnny Sally here with day 12 of Wisdom of the Ages by Wayne W. Dyer. If you've missed any of the previous readings, you can catch them on YouTube at Loyalty Life, spelled L-Y-F-E Legacy LLC. Again, Loyalty Life Legacy LLC on YouTube. Or you can go to my Facebook page and there's a link that'll take you directly to the reading for today. So let's get started. Grief as a blessing. I saw grief drinking a cup of sorrow and called out, "It tastes sweet, does it not?" "You've caught me," grief answered, "and you've ruined my business. How can I sell sorrow when you know it's a blessing?" By Jalaluddin Rumi. Persian mystical poet and Sufi, Saint Jalaluddin Rumi, writes about the pure love we can achieve beyond ego in the soul's divine longing and ecstasy of union with the divine creator of all. Oh, how we love to grieve. We even read books about how important the grieving process is to our recovery. And then we go so far as to identify grief as a necessary stage of sorrow that we have to experience to overcome our losses and regain our sanity. But Jalaluddin Rumi, a 13th century mystical poet, writing in the area known today as Afghanistan, sends a message from the Middle Ages. He suggests that grief is a blessing, rather than something to tolerate as a necessary evil on the way to recovery. It is not sorrowful at all, but instead, it is an opportunity to drink the sweet nectar that is available in the dark moments of our lives. For most of us, grieving is how we react to a loss or a tragic event. And it seems to be a natural way of reacting to the experience of pain in our lives. But if we knew the wisdom of Rumi's words, we might be able to shift right in the middle of this grieving process and turn our sorrow into something sweet tasting. One of the greatest teachings of my life came from my exploration of the Kabbalah, a mystical text of Judaism that goes back many centuries, as do Rumi's teachings. The simple lesson for me was, the falls of our life provide us with the energy to propel ourselves to a higher level. I read and reread this ancient wisdom as I allowed it to soothe the sharp anguish of life's painful moments. I began to incorporate this wisdom during times of sadness and grief. I discovered the truth of this idea that every fall provides us the opportunity to generate the necessary energy to move to higher consciousness. Every sinking into despair has within it an energy to move higher. How many times in your life have dark times of despair, such as some kind of accident, an illness, a financial disaster, a breakup in a relationship, a fire or flood, a loss of property, or a death propelled you into the stages of anguish, anger, denial, and then grief? Like most of us, you sink into sorrow and feel the need to tell everyone about your misfortune. I'll say that again. Like most of us, you sink into sorrow and feel the need to tell everyone about your misfortune. Ultimately, after a long period of time, you begin to rise above it and reach the state of acceptance. Now, suppose you knew that what had taken place in your life, which you termed a loss or a fall, was exactly what was supposed to happen. Suppose you knew instantly that you had to experience the event that triggered your grief and sorrow. Then, suppose you could choose to act in accordance with this new awareness. Undoubtedly, this supposedly conflicts with all you have been taught about how you're supposed to react to catastrophe and transitioning. I am not suggesting you not respect your genuine feelings. I'm suggesting that the truth of Rumi's observations offer you another way of responding to these types of circumstances. I am encouraging you to open the gift of sweetness that is also in the sorrow. This is an intelligence system that we are all an inseparable part of, and there are no accidents. There is something to learn right here, right now, in the middle of sorrow. You can take this lesson and taste the sweet certainty in the mystery. You do not have to pretend to like the tragedy, only to vow to use it to generate the energy to move to a higher place in your life. You could call out to your sorrow just as Rumi did over 800 years ago and say to yourself, "It tastes sweet, does it not?" That is, there is something to learn right here, right now, in the middle of this sweet sorrow, and I am going to drink it in this manner and ruin the business of the grief peddlers. In what we refer to as primitive societies, death or transitioning is an occasion for celebration. There is a basic knowing, even in times of grief and mourning, that does not question the divine timing of each person's arrival here on earth, or the divine timing of one's departure either. It is all in order. Perhaps the comfort is the sweetness of seeing that it is all part of the perfection of our universe, which has an invisible organizing intelligence flowing through every cell of creation, including the many painful experiences over a lifetime, then celebrating it all. As a high school student, I was a high jumper on the track team. I won't discuss the heights I ascended to, but we know from the movies that white men can't jump. Nevertheless, I used to set the bar on the stands, take a position 30 to 50 feet back, sprint fast toward the bar, and get down as low as possible to generate the added energy to propel my entire body over the bar. By getting down low, I could ascend higher. My high school track days provided me with an image that is analogous with the message of Rumi. It is the message of the Kabbalah, and it is my message to you. Grief, when it is only an inner experience of sadness and sorrow, will keep you down in the very depths of the plunge itself. It will immobilize you and weigh you down with guilt and anguish. But when you know that this despair has within it some sweet blessing, you disrupt the grief-sorrow partnership, and the fall helps you regain your footing and soar above the devastating potholes of life on earth. Here are some alternatives to the grief-sorrow dilemma. My apologies. Stop yourself in the middle of a sorrowful moment and very deliberately say, "Do I have to suffer now?" Inside as well as outside over this loss, which I will ultimately come to see as a blessing. Listen and follow your response. No matter what, you are introducing to yourself the possibility of an improved response to despair. Practice being able to honestly express your feelings of loss without believing that you must be filled with sorrow as well. It is possible to feel the loss, express it, and still know within the blessing in all of this. Do not demand instant change. Allow what is there to be there at the same time that you allow the possibility of different behavior. You may have accepted grief and sorrow as inseparable because you have been taught that it is cold and inhuman to be otherwise. When you know that all falls are blessings and all losses are in divine order, you will gradually sweeten the sorrow and you will gain the energy to soar to a higher altitude in all areas of your life. Now, when you understand that everything happens for a reason, it makes me think of Marvel. The best example I can give is Spider-Man. For those who have seen it, everybody knows, spoiler alert if you haven't, everybody knows Uncle Ben doesn't make it. And when they journey into the multiverse, every Spider-Man, collectively hundreds of them, all have the canon event in their story that Uncle Ben does not make it for whatever reason. And when Uncle Ben doesn't make it, it propels Peter Parker to be Spider-Man. All of us have had moments in our life that we felt as though the universe or the gods or whoever your divine supreme creator is was out to get you and testing you and pulling you down and making your life so much harder than it had to be. Well, one, we signed up to come here. If you were to look at your contract, you'd be like, why did I put that there to happen right after this happened and the like? Well, the reality is it's to help make you a better person. It's to help you grow into the you that you need to be at every step of the way to achieve the things that you need to achieve. So think back on life to what your canon events are. Think back on life to those relationships that were so devastating that it changed you. Some people never would have gone to the gym if they didn't get their heart broke. Some people would have never learned how to deal with someone else in the proper manner if they didn't catch a butt whooping or two. And I'm a firm believer that there are a lot of adults in life that just never caught the 1-2 fade right for them to understand respect and clarity. So even in that butt whooping, an individual who has overcome certain aspects of the ego will say, you know what, I probably wouldn't try that with the next individual. Now, getting back on track, when you understand that there are certain things that happen in life that take you to your lowest point to bring you to your highest point, you begin to appreciate every experience. There are some people who have excelled to the highest degree in life only because they hit rock bottom. If they wouldn't have hit rock bottom, they probably would not have manifested the things that they needed to within themselves to climb all the way from rock bottom up to the toppest peak of the mountain of success that they have achieved and attained. So, what is your canon event? What things have taken place in your life that helped you grow? And you can begin to shift those same perspectives into your everyday life to where, not to say that you won't experience accidents, family members transitioning, catastrophes. What we want to do is minimize us making choices to bring us to those moments and just allowing the flow of what's been presented on this plane to help shift you into those things. Because at some point, the lessons lessen. I'll say that again. At some point, the lessons lessen because you begin to see things before they happen. You begin to make choices and decisions that propel you without it having to be dire and a desperate moment. So, again, the difference between adventure and adversity is perspective. No different than the difference between sorrow and grieving and a blessing. It's all about what you choose. I'm pretty sure there are some people that have experienced things in life that they've lost and got something so much better because when one door closes, another one opens. I thank you for being here today. Walk in love, walk in light, walk in peace, and know that you are loved.